King Charles was manipulated by Rishi Sunak into his controversial meeting with Ursula von der Leyen at Windsor Castle on Monday, according to the Daily Express royal correspondent. Richard Palmer gave his take on the decision on this week's Royal Roundup, where he argued there was a case for and against the King meeting with the President of the European Commission. The British monarchy is expected to maintain a strictly apolitical stance, however critics have suggested that by hosting Ms von der Leyen for tea just after the new Brexit deal was announced, the King is showing his support for the Windsor framework. The Prime Minister and Ms von der Leyen gave a press conference in Windsor on Monday saying they had reached an agreement regarding trading between the UK and the EU in the current Northern Ireland Protocol. Shortly afterwards she was driven to Windsor Castle to meet with Charles. Mr Palmer said it was unusual for such a meeting to take place without a vote in Parliament, but added there were two ways to look at this. He said, "You could argue that if the PM of the day requests him to meet a world leader who is coming over here for some talks, then he's more or less under a constitutional obligation to do that. The King acts on the advice of his ministers, and you could argue, as others have argued, that had the King refused to do that, it might have been a bigger controversy and a bigger row. The case against the King is he allowed himself to fall in a trap and be manipulated by a PM who is trying to win support for a controversial deal." Mr Palmer continued, "It was ultimately his decision and he could have privately said, 'I'm really sorry but I don't think I could do that.' It's a bit of an elephant trap for him." This is not the first time in recent years that the royals have been accused of getting too closely involved with serious political matters. In 2019, the Queen was found by the Supreme Court to have unlawfully prorogued Parliament at the request of then Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Previously, in 2014, Her Majesty was asked by David Cameron to boost support for the campaign against independence in Scotland. When asked if the King had been naive to meet Ms von der Leyen, Mr Palmer responded, "He was trying to tread a very careful line but he probably made an error of judgment. He should have found a reason not to have met her at that stage."